The year was 1945. American generals received shocking reports from Europe. A group of pilots achieved something no one thought possible: 100 victories without losing a single bomber they protected. But when commanders learned who these pilots were, their reactions revealed a truth that would change military history forever. What they said next stunned everyone. The impossible record. The year was 1945. American bomber crews were coming back from missions over Europe. They had stories that sounded almost too good to be true. For months, one fighter group had been protecting them in the skies. These pilots flew red-tailed P-51 Mustangs, and they had done something no other group had ever achieved. Over 200 missions flown, more than 100 enemy planes shot down. But here's what made generals stop and take notice. Not a single bomber was lost to enemy fighters while under their protection. Not one. When the reports reached command headquarters, senior officers demanded to know more. Who were these pilots? How did they achieve this record? The answer would force American generals to confront something they had denied for years. Something that would change the entire military history forever. The Tuskegee Experiment. These weren't just any pilots. They were the Tuskegee Airmen, the first black military aviators in United States history. Before the war, the Army didn't believe black men could fly complex aircraft. They said it was scientifically impossible. Military reports claimed they lacked the intelligence and coordination needed for combat flying. But pressure from civil rights groups forced the military to run an experiment. They created a training program at Tuskegee Army Airfield in Alabama. The plan was simple: train black pilots and see if they could actually handle it. Most military leaders expected them to fail. They expected proof that their theories were correct. Instead, these men graduated at the top of their classes. They mastered every aircraft they touched, and they were sent to fight in Europe as the 332nd Fighter Group. But would they perform in real combat? That question haunted every general who sent them overseas. First encounters. When the Red Tails first arrived in Italy, other units didn't want them. White bomber crews requested different fighter escorts. They didn't trust black pilots to protect them. The 332nd was given the worst assignments, dangerous missions that other groups turned down. Long-range bomber escorts deep into enemy territory. These missions lasted for hours. Pilots had to stay focused through entire bombing runs. One mistake could cost dozens of American lives. But something unexpected started happening. Bomber crews who flew with the Red Tails began coming back safely. Mission after mission, they returned home. Word spread quickly among the bomber squadrons. If you wanted to survive your mission, you requested the Red Tails. Suddenly, the pilots that nobody wanted became the most requested escort in the entire theater. Generals started receiving these requests from their bomber commanders. They couldn't ignore what was happening anymore. The numbers were impossible to deny. The zero-loss record. By early 1945, the statistics were undeniable. The 332nd Fighter Group had escorted bombers on over 200 missions. They had engaged enemy fighters hundreds of times. And in all those missions, not one bomber under their protection was lost to enemy aircraft. Zero losses. Other fighter groups lost bombers regularly. It was considered normal, an acceptable cost of war. But the Red Tails had achieved perfection. General Benjamin Davis received the combat reports at headquarters. He read through them multiple times. The numbers seemed impossible. Other commanders thought there must be a mistake in the records. They sent inspectors to verify the claims. Every single report came back confirmed. The Red Tails had also shot down over 100 enemy aircraft. They had destroyed dozens more on the ground, and they did it while never abandoning the bombers they were assigned to protect. Most fighter pilots chased enemy planes to rack up individual victories. The Red Tails stayed with their bombers no matter what. That discipline made all the difference.
What generals said privately. Behind closed doors, American generals had difficult conversations. Everything they believed about black servicemen was being proven wrong. The evidence was right in front of them. General Ira Aker commanded the 8th Air Force. He reviewed the 332nd's performance records personally. In private meetings, he admitted the truth. "These men are exceptional pilots," he told other commanders. "Their record speaks for itself." But publicly, he said very little. Other generals struggled with what to say. For years, they had supported policies that kept black men out of combat roles. They had signed reports claiming it was the right decision. Now their own data proved them completely wrong. Major General George Stratemeyer reviewed the missions. He wrote in his personal notes that the 332nd was outstanding in every respect. But these words rarely made it into official statements. The military wasn't ready to admit its mistake publicly. Not yet. The public recognition. As the war ended, the story couldn't be hidden anymore. Newspapers began reporting on the Red Tails' incredible record. The public wanted to know more about these pilots. General Carl Spaatz commanded all Army Air Forces in Europe. He was forced to make an official statement. At a press conference in 1945, he finally acknowledged their achievements. "The 332nd Fighter Group has performed with distinction," he said. "Their record is exemplary." Those words were carefully chosen. He didn't mention their race directly. He didn't talk about what their success meant for military policy. But everyone knew what he was really saying. General Dwight Eisenhower went further in private communications. He told military planners that segregation was hurting combat effectiveness. The Red Tails had proven that ability had nothing to do with race. Other generals began requesting more black units for their commands, not because they had changed their personal beliefs overnight, but because they wanted the best pilots protecting their men. And the numbers showed who the best were. The legacy they created. The Red Tails returned home as decorated war heroes. They had earned 96 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 14 Bronze Stars, 744 Air Medals, and 8 Purple Hearts. But more importantly, they had destroyed an argument that had held black Americans back for generations. They proved that courage and skill had no color, that excellence couldn't be denied. 3 years after the war ended, President Truman signed Executive Order 9981. It desegregated the entire United States military. That decision was directly influenced by what the Tuskegee Airmen accomplished. Generals who once doubted them now used their record as proof that integration could work. The 100 victories and 0 losses became the evidence that changed policy. Numbers that couldn't be argued with. Lieutenant General Barney Giles later wrote, "The performance of Negro pilots has been so spectacular that it should forever answer the question of whether the Negro can fly." Those words took years to say publicly, but the Red Tails had already proven it in the skies over Europe. Their legacy extended far beyond World War II. They opened doors for every black service member who came after them. What they really said. So what did American generals truly say about the Red Tails' 100 victories? Publicly, they gave careful praise and official recognition. But privately, in letters and personal journals, the truth was more revealing. They admitted they were wrong. They acknowledged that prejudice had blinded them to potential and talent, and they recognized that these pilots had achieved something extraordinary. General Benjamin Davis, Jr., who commanded the 332nd, later said that white generals told him privately, "You proved us all wrong, and we're better for it." Those conversations happened away from reporters and official records. The Red Tails didn't just win battles, they won an argument that changed America. Their 100 victories weren't just against enemy aircraft. They were victories against a system that said they couldn't succeed, against beliefs that limited human potential based on skin color, against every person who said it was impossible. When generals looked at the final numbers, they saw perfection. 200 escort missions, 0 bombers lost, 100 enemy planes destroyed. A record that has never been matched. That's what American generals said about the Red Tails, and history has proven them right. The Red Tails' 100 victories changed military history forever. Their bomber escort missions proved excellence knows no boundaries. American generals' quotes about the Tuskegee Airmen revealed a transformation in thinking. From doubt to respect, their achievements couldn't be denied. The Tuskegee Airmen's legacy extends far beyond World War II victories. Their historical impact opened doors for generations. Perfect bomber protection, unmatched dedication. That's the Red Tails story. Subscribe for more untold history.